So as part of this, I'm creating a new folder. Say that it is a DB folder. I'm just created DB folder. So I'm going to create the config.ini. So I just creating this file. So inside this, what I'm going to do, right, I will do some placeholders. So what is this ini file? In the sense, I will keep all my configurations. But if you go to the real-time projects, I can use my project code. I can connect to the dev server, production server, test server, again regression testing and integration testing. There are so many of kind of testings are there when you're working on the big project, right? So I don't want to write all these connections. See, in the yesterday we have written the connections. This is for the local host. Local host in the sense your local computer. But now I want to make these connections to different environments. Then how to do it, guys? You have to go and write again connection 2, connection 3, connection 4. No, right? So in that case, what we will do, right, we are creating this one connection, then we'll make placeholders here. So first I'll create a placeholder called, it's a dev. You can create dev. So then you can start writing the host name here. The host is equal to localhost. And we can say that database. So database is equal to, then we can give some name. I will give, what is the database which we created yesterday? Boondocks. The same name which I am giving here, but not in the string format, which is not in the string format, remember, okay? And I'm giving now username. The username yesterday we created the DS user, data science user we created, right? I'm just placing it here. Then password, of course, always it is admin in my case. So I'm just giving the password is admin. Then the port number. So in my case, it is 5433. And but maybe in your case, it is 5432 because default port number for the Postgres, it is 5432. But in my system, actually, I connect to the different port number. I'm giving the 5433. Okay. I just set up the configuration here. You can also use the different settings here in the real-time projects. This is maybe the test. You can use the different remote test here. You can make something called https colon www, something you can write. It may be connected to the different servers, or like you can write a host name with some IP address like 126.56.34.60 or 78, something like that. You can write IP address, and this database name you can say the boondocks underscore, it is like a test database. Different names you can create. This user is a different user, this is the test user, and the password is maybe same, port number is maybe different, and you're working on the test server. So like that, I can create n number of environment configurations in my local. I am using only one project code, but I will connect to the different servers. Whenever, for example, this project is hosted in the like a test environment, then I will connect with this test. If the project is hosted in the like pre-production environment, then I will connect with the pre-production environment. Okay. Or regression testing, yes, regression environment, I can use it. Then this placeholder plays very important role, and this is how we are going to write a code. Generally, this is how we need to write code even in the project, right? So this is the placeholders, but this is the config.ini. So what I'm going to do, right, I will show you something in the Python. We are going to use the inbuilt library name is called the config parser. So what is the config parser? Okay, let me go and show you config parser, and which is there in the Python directly. So look into it now. Look at this. This is the inbuilt library. And what does this module do? This module provides this class name called config parser, which implements the basic configuration language, provides a structure similar to what's found in the Microsoft Windows ini files. Okay, you can use this to write Python programming, which can be customized by end users easily. So basically, what we are going to do it right here, same code I have written. You can see, look at this. So default settings are like some other server settings. You can write all the settings like this, but you always remember you are using the placeholder. The placeholder you always writes in the square brackets. Then after that, you are going to write a code like this. You need to import the config parser. By using this config parser, you can see they said config parser starts with the uppercase letter. You can look at this, guys. Okay, don't confuse with this. The class is starts with the uppercase letter, but the library which is actually there in the lowercase letters, it's nothing but Python file. So okay, there is a library. Inside the library Python software, there is a library name is called config parser, which is in lowercase. The class name is in the camel case. Basically C starts with uppercase and P is also uppercase. So moving to the below code, by using this module, I am calling this class and creating an object. Basically, what I am doing with these 2 lines of code, I am using the Python inbuilt library to call this class and to create an object. Why I need to create an object? So when you create an object with this config parser, I can access this information. What is this information? Which is nothing but INI file. I can access the INI file. So don't look at this code. You may little confused at this moment. I will tell you how to use it. But there is one more point we need to remember in this config parsers. We use something is called the sections. Okay. As per the config parsers, this is called a section. This is a section 1. This is section 2. And this is section 3. Okay. Of course, in each section, we have a placeholder and configuration information. Okay. So that's what you have it here. If you look at this code and they talk about sections here, okay, especially this. So you create an object and call the sections and read the INI file by using the read method. This is how the flow is there. So don't confuse with this, and I will write a code and you will understand in better way. Okay. So moving to the, so I'm trying to go to this Visual Studio. I'm going to create a new file called a config parser file. So in this, what we're going to do, right, I'm going to write all the configuration code. So config.py, you can write any name. I'm just giving some name, write any name, it's up to you. So I'm going to import the config parser. So config parser, it is an inbuilt, no need of any installation. Import, then we need a class. So we can use this class, create an object here. So generally, I don't directly write here because I'm assuming I'm writing this code in a project. So definitely I have to write in different way. So I will create a name called something called config. So this is a user defined function name. Okay. I'm creating it here. So in this case, what I will do, right, I will pass the file name equal to some file name I will pass, and also I will pass the section. Okay. Section is equal to something section I will pass. So remember, these sections you can pass dynamically. Okay. For time being, what I will do, right, I'm going to pass this information like this. So what is the section name here? What is the section name? Section name is the dev. So you'll go to this config.py. I will mention this one, but you can make it as a dynamic also. I will also do that one for you. Now the file name is, what is the file name? So we need to provide this config.file name. I'm copying the relative path. Just go and place it here in the relative path. So db slash, or you can give the complete path also, it's up to you. But since this file is there here, my Python code is also there in the same folder. So that's the reason I'm providing the relative path. There are 2 types of path, right? If I right click here, copy path, it is a full path, or you can copy the relative path. So I'm just copying the relative path. So this function, I am passing the file name. This is the file name. Then, and section. These you can make it as like dynamic also. Now what I'm going to do, right, I'm going to create an object for this config parser. So let's do now. Okay. So why I'm writing this config separate function, where tomorrow in this my entire project there is 2000 files are there. In some places I want to write some transaction code. I can use this config function directly there. I will call this, okay, you can give any name, you can give another name also here. I'll call this module. In this module, there is a function name is called the config. Okay, or else you can change this one called dbconfig to understand better way. You can change this one to the dbconfig. Okay, you can call this function whenever it is required. Okay, in this, I created an object. So in this, once we created an object, we can use this parser and make a read. Okay, we are going to read this file name. This is the file name. We have to read this file name. And from this file name, we are going to get something. So this is a dictionary. DB is equal to dictionary. I will use this dictionary to add these sections. Maybe this is one section, maybe tomorrow another section will come. I will use it as a dictionary. And but I need to check here this parser and dot has section. Okay, so this is the inbuilt function which is there in the config parser. I created an object for the parser. By using this object, I'm calling a method which is inside this class. This config parser has a class name, as a method name is called the has section. This is there. Inside this, I will pass this section. Basically, we are checking whether this section is available in this INI file or not. If it is available, then it's fine. If it is not available, you can raise an exception. So I will write logic there after, but if it is else, I need to raise an exception. So already I spoke about the raise keyword. So if you want to raise an exception, we can raise exception here. And we can say that section is not found. Okay, section is not found, as simple as. But you need to write some logic. What if the section is found? If the section is found, we need to traverse, okay, all the items and do it basically. So in this case, I will use the parser dot then items. So this items, in this items or items view also we can use. In this items, what I will do, right, I will pass this section. Okay, this code is a little confusing you at this first time, but I will explain you what is happening at line number 10. Okay, so I will do like here, I will take some parameters. The parameters in the sense I'm reading this information, this config. So currently I am passing this hard-coded value directly, but tomorrow I will not, actually we will not do like this. We'll pass the dynamic value here, okay, when you're calling this function. So that is also I will tell you in shortly. So params is equal to parser.items.section. So this section I am passing the dev. So in the dev, okay, I'll go to this dev. I need to read host, I need to read database, I need to read user, password. I need to read all this data, okay, from here. So that is the reason we said items. This section contains items. What are those items? This host name, database, username, password, and port number. So that's where we are reading it. If you want to read all the data is there in the params, because we are, this section is giving all this information to the params. So that is where this params is there. So if I need to get each param, we can say each underscore param, and in params, so this is how it is there. So basically it is a list. All this information is given here. All the information, we have it here. So what we are going to do now, already I created one empty dictionary. By using this empty dictionary, I'm going to store this data. What I will do, right, I will use this and each param, okay? So don't confuse guys, each param, but we can take this 0 here, index 1, I mean, we can use, and after that, what I will do, right, we can use the each param of one value. We need to return the DB, right? So DB we need to return. I will write here. This is the function. This is the function. This function is returning the DB. Okay. So return DB. Okay. So one more important thing I want to share with. So give the triple quotes and automatically will populate the down. Okay. Generate doc string. Automatically this comes. So here I'm passing two parameters, right? File name and section. Automatically it is showing in the docs. It's not automatic. It is getting that information for this function. And also we are raising an exception. And also there is a return type is there here. But some information you need to fill by your own. Okay. Something which is default is that some information will come. Something you need to write. So why I'm telling this one, this is what you see in the real-time projects, right? You see this kind of information in the real-time projects. So they may not use this docstring like this. They use in the different tools because these are all open source tools. If you're working on the PyCharm, this docstring is not available. Maybe in the different way it is available. But there are some tools to generate the docstrings. Docstring is nothing but a description about what is actually you are working on it on this function. It's nothing but a requirement. Okay, these are the arguments, this is an exception, this is what you are returning, but all information we can use in docstring. Okay, And whenever there is a new environments are coming through, you just add it here. So if any new environment is getting added, you can just add into the config.ini. So let's go to the actual coding now. We are going to write now to read the creating the insert the query or insert the data and all. So what I'm going to do, right, I'm going to use there is something called person data dot py. Okay, I want to insert some person information, or sorry, customer information, right? We created. We can keep person also. The last, I don't want to create new database again, so you already know it. It's a customer data. Just enter. In this customer data, you can go and first, whatever it is, we have to import the PSYCOPG2, which is the module. And from here, we need to also use the config, because this config I'm talking about, my file name is the config. From the config and import a function name. What is the function name, guys? In config, it's a db config, right?
DB config.
Right. So we need to import db config. We almost are here, right? And you can look at this. It's saying that, okay, I will talk about this. Okay, let me talk about something called pylons. What is the pylons? Anybody knows in this group? Pylons, which is very, very important, which is Pylons is nothing but language server, Python language server, which is provided by the Microsoft. If you go to this settings and go to the settings here, and in the search bar, you type something called language server. Okay. So in language server, I want Python language server, not, yeah. If you look at this, guys, I will type here Python. Okay, or else if you can scroll down, you'll get something like this. Default server is JD. Okay, if you go to your VS Code, by default one is the JD, but you can change it to the Pylons. Pylons is also from the Microsoft, recently came, which is one of the most fastest server in Python now. Okay, so recently it got upgraded, so you can also install it. To install it, very simple, you can go to the extensions here, type pylons. If you go to these extensions, go in here, type pylons, and you point to that. Pylons is the most, you can see, you can have a look into it. It is Microsoft one. Already 7 lakhs people are already using this one, because recently came through this. Okay, and it is fast and feature rich language support for, so every language needs some server support. Okay, and what this pylons will do, these are the awesome supports which is going to be provided. Can have a look into it, then let me know if you have any questions. Okay, that is something about pylons, because this, maybe this warning you are seeing is because of pylons is giving. Maybe if you are not using that file so far, it is simply, it is there, because tomorrow unused imports or unused objects we should not use in the project. Okay, that's called code cleanup. You have to think about that. Okay, I'm going to create connect function here. So in this connect functions, I will write. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, you need to make a call, right? So this function I'm writing here inside this, and we can use the connection object. The connection, initially it is none. I'm writing actual code. Okay, so connection none. Then we are going to keep these connections into the try block. So inside
I
the try
think
block,
we should change the name of a function because Psycho PG2 already has connect function, right?
yeah, you are right. What we can say that here? Okay, PG connect. Okay, Postgres connect, something like this. Okay, so these params, it is not an issue even if you use the connect, but better it works if you use the same name. Until you use the if it is a .py file is already there in the Python code, then it'll be a problem, but we are not using that one. Okay, okay, let's go to this. We need to create a params for this. Which one? I need to create a params. I need to create an object. So where I can create it here? Anybody guess? So we need to get the configuration details from the config.
DB config.
Okay. So that is db config. You are right. This db config I'm going to use, because the parameters I'm reading from the through this config.py, okay, from the ini file. I'm not directly reading it. So previous code, if you can look at this in yesterday code, we have written everything in one single file, but it is a very bad way of writing code. Okay, for learning purpose is okay, but not the real time. So let's go back to this. So these are the parameters. In these parameters, what we can do, right? We need to make a connection. Okay, this is the connection. Initially, I said none. What I will do, right? I will make connection here. Because initially, I create an object here. So, okay, I will use this connection equal to then psy copg2 dot connect. Now I need to pass the parameters. That's where this star will come into the picture. Already I spoke about this star in our previous sessions. Am I correct?
Yeah, in the first or second session itself.
Yeah, it's nothing but keyword length argument. So keyword length arguments means this is the key, this is the value, this is the key, and this is the value, like variable name and variable value. Star indicates variable length arguments. Double star indicates keyword length arguments. So that's why. So we are actually passing. So connect is a function. We are passing the star params. Okay. So okay, we are done now. So once we have the connection, then we can do easily, right? We can create a cursor. But before going to create a cursor, I want to cross check again here whether the really connection is established or not. Okay. This is what we do the step, but you just keep this code into the try block. If there is any exceptions, we can get these exceptions. Okay, I will write the exception names here. Multiple exceptions will be, chances are there. Exception comma or like psycopg2 dot database error, which is a particularly to this pg exception. Okay, Postgres exception. And we can say as alias name, I can say ps errors, Postgres server errors, we can say. And we can put the colon and we can try to print this information. Okay, I will print this exception raised. And what is the variable name here? When the exception raised, if you want to see the exact error, this object to be printed. Okay, make sense? Okay, okay, fine. Now I'm going to execute this code. I'm done almost all, but there is something which is there. We need to or try to finally block. It is always good practice because you need to close the connection. That is always good practice to do. Connection dot close. A cursor I am not created yet because cursor is needed to execute the query. Because I don't want cursor at this moment because I'm checking whether the connection is successfully established or not. So once connection is established or not, whatever it is, we need to close the connection, right? Then if I go and run this code, do you think it's going to be work? What is missing, guys? It's a very basic thing. If I execute this code, do you think it's going to be work?
Commit, commit.
Commit is not required because I'm not doing transaction here. I'm just checking the connection. I'm just checking whether the connection is established with my code or not. So what is missing? It's a very basic thing. I'm not calling this function yet. We need to call this function, then only this code works. Okay, so we need to call this function. But generally, if you have only this code, we can write n number of ways. This is one of the assignment to you. Okay, we can use this name is equal to. Can anybody tell me what is this syntax, guys? Maybe you are seeing in Python a lot. So what is this syntax? So underscore name is equal to underscore main. These are the magic methods, or we can say special methods in Python. And I will call this PG connect now. Is it really needed? Not really needed, basically. If you're not using this, also it works. But this is having so much significance. Your entire project, there should be only one main method. Okay, so that main method, whenever it is called, then we can connect this PG connect. So this we can talk in the Django class or Flask or some any frameworks if you are using it. We are calling Python main method first time. In the main method, whichever the call is there, that is the first call. Okay, so basically this we are checking whether the our module is matching with the main method or not. If it matches to the main method, if you go to the Java programming, we have the public static void main. So similarly, Here also we have the main, but it is a backend method. So it actually uses the bundle concepts. It's something called special methods. We are checking this one, we are calling this method now. Okay, so I'm done with almost everything. Now I'm going to execute this code. Let's see this, if there is any exceptions or any issues we can figure out. Okay, so absolutely no issues, guys. The connection is got successfully established. What is the proof, Raja? Yeah, I will show you the proof. You can go to the config.ini. I'll give the wrong port number. I'll give the wrong port number for the dev because I'm passing the dev in the config.py. This dev I am passing it. Now I'm going to execute this code. Which one, guys? Customer data. I'm going to execute this code. It's saying that we got different issue. What is this issue? Connection.close is there, right? Anybody guess what is the issue? Because I've written the connection at the root level, it is actually function global level, but I've used it within the method. Is it works right? Here anyway it is working, here also it is working. Then what is an issue? Anybody guess? It's saying that close is not available. Can I use this way? No. If we go to the yesterday's code, we actually use the close here like this, connection.close. But similarly, I'm giving the close, but why it is saying, anybody guess? So close is not there. What if I'm going to keep this is in comment and execute this code? We'll get an indentation
Indentation
error
error.
because of you're not giving anything here. So let me give this. Okay, right now it is exception is coming correctly because it is connecting to the exact dev, and 5432 I have given. I need to give 5433 and click on this customer data. The connection is okay, but why the connection dot close is not working? Everything is perfect. Our code is working. Connection is established. And if I give the wrong port number, it is saying that wrong port number. But previously, why I got connection close? Anybody guess? Let me give again. See, if I'm giving the correct information continuously, the connection is closing. But when I'm going to give the wrong port number here, if I go and execute this code and you are getting the close is not there. So means what? Because
We have initiated connection with none value, right?
null
So
value. So connection is really not there. This connection is nothing. It's not really created. So the connection object is not created, but you are trying to close it. That is meaningless. Obviously, right? Because your connection is not at all created because of invalid port number. Because of invalid port number, connection is not created, but there is a finally block here. It has to execute, sorry, it has to execute at any cost, but it is not executing because of connection object itself is not there in the memory, but you are trying to close it. It is meaningless. That's the reason it is coming it. So that's the reason we need to check if the connection dot close is equal to, if the connection is true, if the connection is available, then we can do it. That's where like we can use the is instance method, or we can use the like a type of connection object type function we can use, is instance function we can use to check the whether the object is available or not. You try that option, you'll let me know if you're facing any issues with that. So basically we are creating a connection, guys, okay, by using this. What if I want to change this test? I can change it, I can pass that information. Okay, okay, fine. This is, assume that I will tell you one scenario. You look at this config. So this information I hard coded. I don't want to hard code this information because here I'm passing to the dev. If I don't want to hard code this one, you need to call this function separately outside of this. Or like maybe Siddesh is writing his own code and he wants to do some inserting the data, and he can call this db config and pass which file he wants to be read. Here I'm hard coded. You can give something called file name one or something. You can change these names and you can call this function and pass this information before going to create a connection. So that's where it works, guys. You need to pass this information dynamically. So here we are 15 members
No,
server. Go ahead.
one more thing we can do is like these parameters are default, right? In case no parameters are given, only then these are considered. So if we decide to like give randomly give the file name and section on our own, we can do that in the present scenario also, because these are the default values.
Yeah, these are the default values. You are right, but we can also yeah, that is correct. You can call this function. You can give different name also. It works. Yes, correct. The function parameters, there are four types: default parameters, variable length arguments, keyword length arguments. Another one is the positional length arguments. Yes, it is a default argument since it is already defaulted with these values because of it is connecting to the local dev environment. If you want to connect to the any specific environment, call this db config and you pass any information. That is also can be done. If you don't want to give all these names, you want to specifically, you don't want to give these default names, you can give this name, that should be fine, but you need to assign some data to this. Okay, so any questions on this
In
line
this
number
case,
4?
what will if we like only keep parameters, now like file name and section, what basically is going to happen is, in case the particular file does not exist or anything such, we'll get an exception, right?
Yeah, that is also fine. It's up to you how you are writing the code, but this is how
Okay.
actually we have the code in the projects. Okay, so by
Yeah,
default they will point to the local database, local
directly.
servers, local
Mm-hmm.
servers, local databases. But it
Okay.
depends on you, like if you want to, if you don't want to keep the local servers, it's up to you. But most of the 50-50 chances, most of the times we point it to the local servers, local db. And if we don't want, then anyway you can, we have an option to call this function by using this what I can say, this module name called config.db config, and pass the file names. Then you call the connection. Okay, so then you can make a connection to this psv0 pg2 and you check the connection like this.